We're ready to go, and you're ready to go. All right, Stephanie Blackburn, thank you very, very much for joining us on, I think, a very, very important topic for all restaurants, all local restaurants. It's Google My Business for your restaurant. I saw this presentation a couple of months ago, and I thought it was one of the best presentations, the clearest presentation why all restaurants should use Google My Business. So this is really important. This is going to have a great impact for a lot of local restaurants. So thank you for sharing this with us. And let us know a little bit more about you, Stephanie.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Jerry. My name is Stephanie Blackburn, and I'm with Restaurant Outreach, and we service restaurants exclusively. So we cater to restaurants with a full service marketing package that includes everything from web design to social media management, of course, Google My Business, reputation management, and local search, as well as strategies to help ensure that we're tracking the number of guests that we get through your door and what the ROI on that is. And I'm very happy to be here today, and I appreciate, Jerry, that you reached out and asked me to present this to the audience.
We're absolutely excited to have you.
Thank you very much. Well, I can go ahead and get started if you'd like me to.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. So today we're going to cover Google My Business for your restaurant. So this is a little overview of what we'll cover. We're going to cover what Google My Business is, how to claim it and get started with Google My Business, identifying top features for restaurants, and discuss Google Business profile tactics to drive local traffic. And just kind of a quick little note, Google My Business is in the process of being renamed to Google Business Profile. So it still operates the same, but you will be now here referenced as Google Business Profile. So it is the same thing, but it will have a new name. So we'll probably see more of that in the new year. So we're going to talk about what is Google My Business or Google Business Profile. So Google My Business is a free tool that allows you to manage how your business appears on Google Search and Google Maps, and it's a key piece for local SEO. And it's especially important for restaurants. So you'll see the screenshot that I have here that kind of shows different things that you can do with your Google My Business profile. You can manage it on Google. You can use it to attract customers by sharing offers and events, engage with customers on the go. You can use either your desktop or mobile device to manage it. And it really helps your restaurant stand out when you add photos and lets customers learn how to find you. So we're going to go ahead and really dive into what it looks like and how you can get started with it. So what it looks like. So if you are on Google and say you were to do a search for your restaurant, it may come up with, like the first slide there, the Bluebird Cafe, and that's what customers see as well. And one of the goals that we always have is making sure that we get you in what we call the Google Map Pack. And it used to be a 5-position map pack, and it's now down to 3. So having your Google My Business profile up to date helps you rank here. You have several options available in your listing, so you'll be able to work on these as you grab your listing and populate it. And so we'll dive into these a little bit as well. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is that 82% of consumers that are looking for a place to eat use the Near Me or local search profile with their cell phones before deciding which restaurant to go to. And guess what? This data pulls from your Google My Business profile. Now, this next stat is kind of an alarming stat. So only 50 or 56% of local businesses have not claimed their Google My Business listing. So a large percentage of those, unfortunately, are restaurants. And so if you're claiming your Google My Business listing, you are ahead of the game. So we're going to talk about kind of 5 pieces of Google My Business and how it influences these areas. So Google looks for a lot of signals to see how well your restaurant is doing. And when you're utilizing Google My Business, you are hitting on 5 of these signals. So how often you're publishing new content on your website, directories, and social media, this plays into effect. Distance, where are you in relationship to someone's search? So this is something that Google looks at. They're like, where are you in relationship to that person that's looking for a place to eat? And is your website looked at as a source for knowledge and expertise? So Google looks at that as well. Availability, making sure that your business hours are set to open so that when they are searching, somebody can find you. So making sure your hours are up to date is very important. And relevance, Google looks for relevancy. Are you creating valuable and useful content? Are you providing the answers that people are looking for? So as you work on your web presence and Google My Business, you want to keep in mind these 5 pillars of online visibility. So now we're actually going to jump into how do you take the first step and get started. So it's really actually pretty easy to get a Google My Business listing. And the nice thing is it is a free tool. So when you're starting, you want to log in or create a Google account. So if you don't already have like a Gmail address, you want to set that up first. And then you want to go to google.com/business and select Manage Now. And that's if you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you'll want to log in. You want to enter the name of your restaurant to search for that and see if it comes up. Then you want to enter the restaurant address and select the best categories for your restaurant. Add your restaurant phone number and website. And then you want to choose a verification option. So Google wants to verify that this is actually your listing. So they do offer multiple listing options to verify. One of them is a phone call. Another is a postcard. So we often use the postcard on our end because we set this up for a lot of restaurants. And so typically what I'll do is select the postcard and I will put a little note on the postcard to, give to Stephanie or give to Restaurant Outreach. And then that way they know when that comes in that we need that code. Now, there are cases where sometimes somebody's already claimed your listing. And if that's the case, you will have to request to claim it. And it will take a little bit longer, but in most cases, you're able to obtain access to your listing as long as you can prove that you're actually the owner of the restaurant. And if not, I've got some tricks to claim that. So it's not a lost cause. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about are some features that are available in Google My Business for restaurants. So as you're setting up your Google My Business, you want to make sure that you add your restaurant info, specific categories for your restaurant. So what type of restaurant are you? You want to make sure that that is clear on your listing. There's a review section, which is very important. There's a post section, which we'll cover a little bit more further on, and then photos and videos. So photos, obviously, for a restaurant are very important. People want to see what your restaurant looks like, both inside and out. They want to kind of get a feel for what the vibe is of your restaurant and also your food. And staff is important as well. Showcase your staff. There's the ability to ask and answer questions so that people can see a little bit more information about you, and that also helps with your search. You can also add a menu link. So say you've got a menu on your website, you can add that link right on your Google My Business listing. You can also actually put your menu into Google My Business where you load up the categories, descriptions, and pictures for the menu. You can add your online ordering link and you can add your reservation link. And there is a tool inside of Google My Business, which is called Insights, which will give you some powerful data on how your business is doing when you're looking at search in your Google My Business rankings. So one key piece is making sure that you're optimizing Google My Business for your restaurant. You need to fully take advantage of it. So when you set it up, you want to make sure that the information that you add into your Google My Business listing matches. So we always say that you need what we call accurate NAP, and NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. And so this means that you want to make sure that the name on your website for your restaurant matches exactly the name that you add to Google My Business. You also want to make sure that the address matches. So if you spell street out on your website, you want to spell street out on your Google My Business listing. So that needs to match accurately. You need accurate NAP. You also want to make sure that the hours of operation are set the same. So if you list your hours on your website, say you're open in the evening, you're open from 4 to 9 p.m. You want to make sure that that is the same on Google My Business. You don't want a discrepancy there. And it's important that you have this consistent across the internet. So we believe in really creating a lot of local directory listings so that there's multiple pointers of source of information validating your restaurant. So we want to make sure that when you do that, those match on your website, the other listings, and also Google My Business. Just remember NAP, name, address, and phone number, and then it needs to be consistent. So you can add categories, and you want to add as many categories that make sense, but don't overdo it. So you'll see an example here. On the left, there's examples for a breakfast, brunch, and lunch restaurant. So they have chosen breakfast restaurant as a primary, restaurant in general, lunch restaurant, and brunch restaurant. And then on the right, you'll see an example of a sports bar. So they've listed sports bar as primary, but they also have grabbed the listings for bar and grill, caterer. They serve pizza, so they've done pizza restaurant, and they feature American food and hamburgers. So they've and chicken wings, and they do breakfast as well. So they've made sure that those are part of the listing. So just really make sure your listings match the type of restaurant that you have. Now, a key part of Google My Business is Google reviews. And reviews really matter. I mean, they matter for all businesses, but for restaurants, they're very critical. I mean, people look at reviews before they decide where to eat. And typically, if they see a restaurant that has something underneath a 4-star review, they'll typically pass it over. So we definitely want to really push reviews. They're a cornerstone piece of your marketing and your Google My Business strategy. They really do help you improve your local ranking. They attract the new customers with social proof. And they're a great way internally for you to learn what customers like and don't like. So we always encourage our clients to pay attention to the reviews. If you're hearing the same thing over and over again, maybe it's something that you need to address. And go ahead and improve your business based on the reviews you're getting. And obviously, we always want to strive for 5-star reviews. Now, not everybody knows that Google has a feature called Google Post. It's kind of like posting on Facebook. You can actually create a daily post on your Google My Business profile. You can add pictures, and you can also add links. And it's a great way to create more traffic. So you'll see some images here of when somebody searched, they saw this come up with the past post. And then here's an example of a post when you dive into it. And right now, when you go add a post to your Google My Business, these are some of the options that are coming up. So obviously, unfortunately, COVID-19 is still a hot topic for everybody. So you do have the ability to add some information if you have any updates of safety procedures or anything like that you're following. You can add an offer. So you could add a link to a special offer that you're running. So this is powerful. We run offers for a lot of the restaurants that we work with, and you can link directly to that offer on Google. You can also add a general update, an event. So say you're with Christmas coming, maybe you're doing breakfast with Santa Claus. So that would be a good event. And then you can add products as well. So this could be one of your menu items. So another big thing that you can do right within Google My Business is you can add both photos and videos. So it allows you to add photos. You can enter in photos that are, in the interior, the exterior, the food, staff, menu, and it gives a picture of who you are, and it's very powerful. And questions and answers is a very powerful tool too. So you can actually add questions and answers to your Google My Business, and it gives more visibility. So it's something that we definitely recommend. Excuse me. So you can get some ideas of what questions to ask and answer by looking at the People Also Ask section. So when you search, you will see this come up. And so you can see some things that you can select and add questions on these. And I'll cover this a little bit more in the guide that we're giving away at the end of the presentation if you would like a copy of that. And you can add important links to your Google My Business. As I mentioned before, you can add your menu link, order ahead links, reservation links, and then you can add menu items explicitly. So one thing that we have seen too is you want to be careful because a lot of the third-party delivery services are automatically, this is being updated with their information. So if you're not using them, make sure that your menu link and your order ahead links are in there properly and that it's not automatically defaulting to that. Because we've seen that happen a little bit more lately. So I mentioned Google My Business providing insights. So this gives you good data. So if you look at this, you will see in a month period of time, how many people connected with you from your Google My Business profile. So it'll break down direct, discovery, branded. So they're looking for, searching for the brand name. And you'll see that this particular restaurant had over 258,000 people that found him on Google My Business. Now, what's interesting about these stats, and I probably should take another screenshot because we don't see this very often. And I think that Google My Business must have had a hiccup that day because it usually always pulls traffic. And I know that this wasn't disabled, so I'm not sure what happened. But you will see that in a month period of time, that Google My Business, and this isn't the website, but this is just the Google My Business, had over 336,000 views. So part of that was listing on search, and part of that was listing on maps. And you also see the breakdown of actions that were taken. You know, how many visits to the website, directions, or call you. So this is some good insights for you to look at so you can see how well your Google My Business profile is performing. Now here's some final tips to think about regarding Google My Business. Google My Business is becoming more and more important, and it is very important that you maximize your listing. So your listing showcases what your restaurant does, where you're located, and how people can contact you. Google ranks those restaurants higher in local search results that match as much relevant results for a given search. So that means, you know, if you say you're a breakfast restaurant, make sure that's the listing that you're using as the category and that your pictures and information reflect that. Provide as much detailed and accurate information as you can, and that you're actively managing your presence with updated information on a regular basis. Google My Business is becoming more and more powerful. 50% or more searches often result in no click for further information. And so basically what that means is in the past, somebody would search and they'd see your business and they'd go directly to your website. Now, a lot of people are finding you and they're finding everything that they need right from your Google My Business listing. And so that they're not actually going further to the website. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't need a website because having a good website ties into a strong Google My Business listing, but it just means that it's becoming more of a powerful search tool. So, and Google is shifting focus from, you know, who pays the most for pay-per-click to who provides the best experience to their users. It doesn't mean that pay-per-click is dead, but it's just that they're really looking at that experience. And Google is trusting that your information is correct and it pulls it into Google. So some things to keep in mind that if you have an active Google My Business presence, usually we're seeing 40% more views on Google search, Google Maps, and third-party sites with that. We're seeing over 200,000 more actions, and that could be a phone call, directions, and visits to your website. And typically we see a large amount more reviews once you have an updated Google My Business presence, sometimes as up to 300% more reviews. So we're doing a special right now for the Restaurant Marketing Summit, and we're offering a Google Business Profile Guide along with the option of requesting a free local presence report. And in that report, we'll pull some information for you so you can see how you're doing in terms of your local search options and your Google My Business presence. And then we can take a look at that with you and give you some information that you could go ahead and implement, or if there's further information that you would like, and maybe even somebody to help you work through that, we would be happy to do that. We do a lot of work with restaurants, helping them set up their Google My Business profile and ensuring that it stays active. So I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any as well.
Stephanie, that is wonderful. Tremendous information. I just cannot believe that 56% of restaurants aren't on
I know.
My Business. It's absolutely incredible. It's free, and you know,
Yes.
it is so powerful for your business. You must do it. Stephanie's, I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of requests there for help to set these things up, because it's absolutely necessary for all businesses, in particular for restaurants. So I think you'll be inundated with a lot of people requesting your help, Stephanie.
Well, we would love to help them. As I mentioned, Jerry, I mean, we specialize in working with restaurants, and we work with restaurants regardless of location. So our team would be happy to jump in and help them get set up, and then discuss other strategies that would work for them.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it again for the second time, and I picked up some new stuff that I didn't on the first round. So
Oh, perfect.
Thank you again.
Well, you are very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to present to your summit.
You've been a great presenter for us. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.